All right, so you want to get a real handle on what's happening with Tesla, huh?
Seems like everyone does these days.
Well, yeah, they're kind of hard to ignore. Buckle up because we're diving deep into some documents that are giving some serious insider intel.
It's always interesting to see what we can glean from these leaks and reports.
Yeah, projections, market analysis, heck, even software updates are painting a fascinating kind of a wild picture.
You could say that. Tesla's future is looking anything but certain right now.
It's like stepping into the eye of a Tesla hurricane.
Hmm.
And speaking of hurricanes, let's talk about these sales figures.
Oh, yeah. Those are raising some eyebrows.
This weekly update document predicts over 2 million vehicles sold in 2025.
Not too shabby.
16% growth. Not bad. But,
Well, that's the thing. It's a noticeable slowdown compared to Musk's usual, like, 20, even 30% growth targets. So that gap is what has everyone going, what's going on here?
is the Tesla magic fading? I mean, what do you think's going on?
A few headwinds they got to deal with. Policy changes, for one.
Oh, right. Like the Trump administration.
Exactly. Those new policies are shaking things up big time.
Yeah, they're not exactly known for being EV friendly.
The $7,500 federal tax credit for EVs, gone. And that hits affordability hard, especially in the U.S.
Yeah, I mean, that's a chunk of change. Makes you think, how many people who might have bought a Tesla, especially with other EV options, like popping up everywhere?
Right. And those other options are getting seriously competitive.
Okay, so spill the tea. Who are these Tesla rivals?
Well, Tesla's models are still good, don't get me wrong, but they are facing rivals like BYD.
BYD?
Yeah, from China. And they're not messing around delivering some pretty compelling EVs at price points that, Tesla's feeling the heat.
So it's not just about the tech anymore. It's like the whole package. Price, features,
What it's meant
a whole 9 yards.
The whole 9 yards, exactly.
And speaking of things affecting that whole Tesla package, we got to address the Elon Musk factor.
Oh.
Yeah, because electrifying.com did this survey, and get this, 60% of British consumers are, like, turned off by Musk's behavior.
Oh, wow. 60%.
Yeah, that's not a good look. And that's not just a little blip. That is a potential brand crisis brewing.
Definitely not the kind of press you want.
No. I mean, think about it. Some of his recent controversies, like the whole Twitter takeover, the clashes with regulators. Do you think this negative perception, is it like actually hurting sales?
It's hard to say for sure without concrete data.
Right.
But anecdotally, just scrolling through social media, people are straight up saying, I'm not buying a Tesla because of Elon Musk.
Wow. Okay, so they're going to other brands.
And guess who benefits?
The Chinese manufacturers.
Bingo. They offer, shall we say, a less flamboyant CEO experience.
So it's not just about the car anymore. It's like the whole image, the feeling, the CEO's like whole persona is part of the package now.
Yeah, it's a new era for car buying.
It really makes you think, how much does a CEO's personality actually affect what you buy? Because guess what? We're about to dive into Tesla's financial forecast, and that, my friends, is where things get really spicy.
It's earnings report season, and Tesla's reports.
Yeah. They're known for being kind of a wild ride.
You could say that. Buckle up for some potential stock swings.
Exactly. Tesla stock is famous for its volatility, especially after these reports, and investors are just hanging on every word. Big swings can mean big opportunities, but...
Big wipeouts, too.
Yeah, exactly. So what are, like, the key things that you're watching for this time around?
I'm always keeping a close eye on profit margins.
Makes sense.
Investors want to see those numbers healthy, especially given those, the missed sales targets that we talked about earlier.
Right.
And then there's the whole growth projection mystery. Will Tesla admit that things are slowing down, or will they, double down on their ambitious targets?
Right, because they're known for those crazy, super high targets.
Exactly. It's a real nail-biter.
And then, of course, whatever Elon Musk says during those earnings calls.
Oh, yeah.
That's a wild card in itself.
That's putting it mildly.
But, beyond the numbers, are there any specific projects or developments that have, investors buzzing?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The rumor mill's churning about a potential cheaper Model 2.
Oh, Model 2. Interesting.
Right. It could open up a whole new market segment, but it also raises questions about manufacturing capacity,
Yeah.
Can they maintain quality at a lower price point?
That's a good question. What about updates on those robotaxis? Any news on that front?
No firm timelines yet, but Musk has hinted that progress is being made.
So still very much in the we'll see category.
Pretty much. But investors are watching that one very, very closely because if those robotaxis actually become, a reality, it could be a game changer for Tesla's valuation.
Yeah, that would be massive. Speaking of game changers, we can't ignore the elephant in the room, Musk and the Trump administration. How do you see that playing out?
It's a double-edged sword, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's a tricky one.
It could lead to favorable regulatory changes,
Yeah.
especially for things like autonomous driving.
Yeah, less red tape.
Exactly. But it also it exposes Tesla to political risks, right?
Mm.
If those government projects flop, or if there's like a backlash against Trump's policies, well, Tesla could get caught in the crossfire.
It's almost like he's playing 4D chess, but with like super high stakes.
So with all these factors swirling around, it's no surprise that analysts are like scratching their heads trying to figure out what to make of Tesla.
Yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty out there.
This weekly update document shows a real split. Some are saying buy, others are saying hold, and some are even saying get out now.
It's the classic battle between the bulls and the bears.
So break it down for us. Who are the bulls and who are the bears?
Well, the bulls, they're the optimists.
Okay.
They believe Tesla is on the verge of something big, and they're betting on that continued growth. The bears, well, they're more skeptical. They see the challenges piling up, and they're not convinced Tesla can overcome them.
Right. So different outlooks, different approaches. And what's fascinating is that even after Tesla stock went like way up, over 60% after the election, the average price target set by analysts is still lower than where it's trading right now.
So what's that telling us?
I think it highlights the disconnect between Wall Street's perception of Tesla and the company's current valuation. Some investors are in it for the long haul. They're betting on the future potential of things like robotaxis and AI. Others are, focused on the here and now, like the financials, the competition, and the risks of things not, going according to plan.
So basically, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of different perspectives. Is there anything in the numbers that really jumps out at you? Something that gives us a clue as to which way things might swing?
Well, the projected Q4 revenue is a whopping $27.27 billion.
That sounds pretty impressive.
It is, right. But then you look at the projected net income, which is $2.31 billion. Now compare that to the same quarter last year. $25.17 billion in revenue and a massive $7.93 billion in income.
Wait, so their revenue's increasing, but their profit is shrinking.
Exactly. And that raises serious questions about their long-term profitability, especially as competition increases and they're under pressure to keep prices, competitive. And this is where it gets real for everyone, not just Wall Street.
Right, because at the end of the day, people want to know if Tesla's a good buy, if it's a good investment.
Exactly. And right now, it's a bit of a gamble.
So what you're saying is Tesla's at a crossroads.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
Okay, so we've covered the financial tightrope walk, the clashing opinions on Wall Street, but let's get down to brass tacks. What's happening with the actual cars? And I'm not just talking about the shiny new models.
Oh, you mean that big recall?
Yeah, that big recall. Almost 700,000 vehicles being recalled because of a fault in the tire pressure monitoring system.
Quite a few cars.
That's a lot of potentially affected vehicles. It's good that there haven't been any reported incidents yet, but it does raise concerns about quality control.
Is Tesla sacrificing reliability in its rush to be innovative? What should the average person take away from this recall? I think it's a reminder that even the most advanced tech can have hiccups.
Right.
Recalls happen. It's just, part of the auto industry.
Yeah.
But Tesla has had more than their fair share. It's definitely something potential buyers need to keep in mind. But hey, let's not dwell on the negative, right? Tesla's also making strides in new tech.
Okay, so let's talk about the cool stuff. This Tesla Software Update 2025.2 document outlines some really interesting developments. For example, third-party charger preconditioning is finally in North America. Can you explain what that means for folks who might not be familiar with the term?
Think of it like warming up your battery before you plug in.
Okay, that makes sense.
Not all chargers are created equal, and some, especially the ones that aren't Tesla superchargers, work best when the battery's at a good temperature. So this new feature lets owners preheat their batteries remotely so they can get the fastest, most efficient charge at those third-party stations.
So it's a game changer for road trips and, anyone who's relying on public chargers?
Absolutely. And it's a smart move by Tesla, to kind of embrace the wider EV ecosystem instead of trying to keep everything in their own little Tesla bubble.
Yeah, no more walled garden.
Exactly.
All right, let's talk about that reloaded FSD computer. The buzz is all about this new computer because it has a connector for a front bumper camera. even though the current Model Y doesn't have one.
Right. It's a bit of a head-scratcher.
It is. The Cybertruck and the upcoming Model Y are supposed to have front bumper cameras. But why include that connector now if it's not being used? Are they planning a surprise retrofit for existing Model Y owners?
I mean, that would be a pretty big change for them.
Yeah, they haven't really been big on retrofits.
Right. But it's not totally impossible. And if they do add a front bumper camera, well, it opens up a ton of possibilities for their full self-driving system.
Yeah, it could be huge.
Imagine, like, way better object detection, better understanding of what's going on around the car, maybe even some crazy autonomous features we haven't even thought of yet.
It's like they're already thinking way ahead, setting the stage for a future where these cars can really drive themselves.
That's the goal, isn't it?
It is. But before we get too far down that road, we got to talk about this price hike in Canada. A big one, too. We're talking increases of $4,000 to $9,000 Canadian.
Oof, that's gonna sting.
Right. And this is on top of their federal EV incentive program ending.
So no more rebates to help offset the costs.
Exactly. So what's the deal? Is Tesla just trying to squeeze extra profit out of their Canadian customers?
It's probably a bunch of things combined, honestly. The Canadian dollar has been weakening against the US dollar, so imports are more expensive.
Ah, that makes sense.
Then there's the whole trade tension thing, potential tariffs, and yeah, maybe Tesla's just trying to boost their revenue.
So what does this mean for our Canadian listeners who might be, thinking about buying a Tesla?
If you're serious about it, you might want to lock in your order ASAP. That February 1st price increase is coming up fast.
Tick-tock. Tick-tock.
And even though the referral program offers some discounts, well, those might not be around forever.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our Tesla deep dive. Sales projections, Elon's impact on the brand, the financial roller coaster, we talked about that big recall, the exciting software updates, and a price hike that's going to leave some Canadian buyers reeling.
Quite a whirlwind.
It is, but there's more to come. In our next segment, we're going to go even deeper into Tesla's software and uncover some clues about their future plans, so stay tuned.
Welcome back to our Tesla deep dive.
Yeah, we just explored their projected sales, Musk's influence on the brand, the roller coaster that is their financials.
And let's not forget that recall of almost 700,000 vehicles.
Yikes. Makes you think about pushing boundaries versus, making sure things actually work.
Absolutely. It's a tightrope walk for any company, especially one as ambitious as Tesla. But while we're talking innovation, let's talk about the cool new software features. That third-party charger preconditioning for North America, game changer.
Totally. They finally admitted that, hey, Tesla owners don't only use superchargers.
Right. Imagine you're on a road trip, you got to use a non-Tesla charger. In the past, slower charging speeds if your battery wasn't at the right temperature. But now, you can preheat your battery remotely, so when you get to that station, you're good to go.
Huge for convenience, peace of mind, especially for those who stray from the supercharger network.
Smart move by Tesla to, open up their system, embrace the wider EV charging world. And speaking of smart moves, let's go back to that mysterious front bumper camera connector on the new reloaded FSD computer. Could this mean big things for autonomous driving?
It's definitely got us thinking. We talked about it before. The current Model Y doesn't have a front bumper camera. But this connector, it's like they're hinting at something.
Like a breadcrumb trail to the future.
Exactly. It's not like to include a connector for hardware that's not even in use.
Yeah.
So are they planning to add it to future Model Ys or even offer a retrofit for the existing ones?
Imagine the possibilities if they did.
Right. A front-facing camera that could really boost their full self-driving system, wider field of view, better object detection, maybe features we haven't even thought of yet.
Like giving the car another set of eyes.
Exactly. More data so the FSD system can make better decisions, smoother driving, safer too. Maybe they're already thinking way ahead, prepping for a future where cars really can drive themselves.
That's the dream, right? But in the meantime, Tesla's also making improvements to, everyday features, things that make the car safer and easier to use.
Like the new rear cross-traffic chime.
Exactly. Might seem small, but it could prevent accidents. Think about it. You're backing out of your driveway, a car's coming, you don't see it. Boom, that chime could save the day.
Subtle, but those safety features make a difference.
For sure. And it's not just safety, it's about the overall experience. Finally, Android users get hands-free trunk and frunk opening. Might not be earth-shattering, but it's a nice touch.
Definitely a long time coming for Android users. So Tesla's focusing on the big picture, the cutting-edge stuff, but also those smaller details that just make life easier.
Absolutely. They're trying to create a better experience for everyone. But let's zoom out a bit. Where does Tesla fit in the whole EV landscape now. They've been on top for a while, but is that changing?
Yeah, the competition's heating up. They're facing challenges from every direction. Traditional car companies are pouring money into EVs. Startups are popping up left and right. And don't forget about those Chinese manufacturers.
They're coming on strong.
You mentioned BYD before. They're already outselling Tesla in China, and they're not shy about their global ambitions. Who else should Tesla be watching out for?
In Europe, Volkswagen is a big one. Their ID series is getting a lot of attention. They've got a long history of building quality cars, and they're using that expertise to make EVs that, people really want. In the US, Ford's making waves with the Mustang Mach-E, that electric SUV. People love it.
I've heard good things about that one.
And then you got Hyundai and Kia. They're coming in with some stylish, affordable EVs. Tesla's not the only game in town anymore.
So how do you think this, increased competition is going to affect them?
Well, it's a mixed bag. On one hand, it keeps them on their toes. They have to keep innovating, pushing the boundaries. But it also puts pressure on their market share, their profits.
They can't afford to get complacent.
Exactly.
So is Tesla's dominance in trouble? Or do they have something up their sleeve?
It's too soon to count them out. They still have some big advantages. That supercharger network, still the best out there.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Their brand is still strong, especially with, early adopters and tech folks. And they're ahead in the autonomous driving game.
Right, that real-world driving data they have, that's valuable.
No one else has that kind of data.
But they've got weaknesses, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Quality control has been spotty. Customer service could be better. And, Elon Musk's, let's call it unpredictable behavior. It doesn't always help.
No, it doesn't.
So if they want to stay on top, they got to address these issues and adapt. The world's changing. The EV market's changing.
They can't just rely on what worked in the past.
Right. It's a pivotal moment for Tesla. They can either rise to the challenge or, maybe become a victim of their own success. Which way do you think it'll go?
Tough to say. Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure. It's going to be a wild ride.
Speaking of wild rides, let's go back to that Canadian price hike. The timing with the federal EV incentive ending seems almost strategic.
It is interesting timing, isn't it? Almost like they're testing how loyal Canadian buyers are.
Maybe they're worried about losing market share as more affordable EVs come out.
It's possible. Or maybe they just want to make as much money as they can before the competition really ramps up. Either way, it's a risky move.
Yeah, could backfire. We'll see how Canadian consumers react. Will they pay the higher prices, or will they start looking at other brands?
I think it'll be a bit of both. Some Tesla diehards, they'll stick with it. They love the tech, the status. But for others, especially those on a budget, this could be the push they need to go with a different brand.
It's a good reminder that even the most innovative companies got to think about price, especially as the EV market gets more crowded.
Absolutely. Tesla can't afford to alienate buyers with price hikes that seem out of touch.
Okay, before we wrap up this part, anything else in that weekly update document that caught your eye?
A few things. First, they mention a new Model Y compact SUV coming in March 2025. That could be a big seller if they price it right.
Compact SUVs are super popular, practical, but not too big.
Exactly. If Tesla can nail that combination, it could be a home run. The document also talks about Musk and Trump. Some people think it'll be good for Tesla, less regulations, especially for self-driving cars. Others are worried it could backfire if those government projects don't work out.
So Musk's taking a big gamble.
He's betting on that relationship with Trump to give Tesla an edge, but if it blows up in his face, well, it could hurt the company.
It just goes to show, Tesla's not just dealing with tech and cars. They're in the middle of this, messy political world, too.
Makes things interesting, that's for sure.
All right, so we've got a new Model Y on the horizon, a controversial political alliance, and a whole lot of uncertainty. Sounds like Tesla's future could be either amazing or a total disaster.
That's what keeps us watching, right? The Tesla story, it's full of twists and turns.
Absolutely. But there's one piece of the puzzle we haven't explored yet. The software updates. They're always tweaking and improving things, and sometimes those updates tell us a lot about what they're planning for the future.
Intriguing. What have they been up to?
Hold that thought. We'll dive into the fascinating world of Tesla software and uncover some hidden clues in the next part. Don't go anywhere. And we're back for the final part of our Tesla deep dive.
We've covered a lot of ground, projections, Elon Musk, financials, even that huge recall.
But there's one more piece of the puzzle we need to explore. Tesla's software updates.
They might seem like minor tweaks, bug fixes, but they're actually a window into how Tesla thinks.
Exactly. Their vision for the future, their priorities, it's all right there.
It's like a sneak peek behind the scenes.
All right, let's pull back that curtain. What's been happening in the world of Tesla software lately? What's caught your eye?
One thing that's interesting is their focus on working with third-party services. Like, they just rolled out third-party charger preconditioning in North America.
Right, we talked about it before, but worth digging in a bit more. What does it mean for the average Tesla owner?
Okay, picture this. You're on a road trip, you need to charge up, but it's not a Tesla supercharger.
Happens all the time.
In the past, that could mean slower charging because your battery wasn't at the right temperature.
Makes sense.
But now, with preconditioning, your Tesla can talk to those other chargers, warm up the battery ahead of time.
So you get there, and it's ready to fast charge.
Exactly. No more waiting around, especially if you're not sticking to the supercharger network.
It's a big win for convenience.
Big time. And it shows Tesla's kind of realizing that their customers, they live in the real world, they use all kinds of chargers.
Not just the Tesla bubble.
Exactly. But while they're playing nice with others, they're also pushing the boundaries with, the cutting edge stuff.
Right, full self-driving. Any hints about what's coming next?
Always something new with FSD, every update. But the thing that's really got people talking is that connector for a front bumper camera on the new reloaded FSD computer.
Yep, the mystery connector.
The current Model Y doesn't even have that camera, but the connector's there. So is it for future models, or are they going to offer a retrofit for existing ones?
That's a good question. What would be the advantage of adding that front bumper camera to the FSD system?
Well, think about it. It gives the system a wider view, right?
Yeah.
Better at detecting things, handling tricky situations, lane keeping, adaptive cruise control, all that could get a boost too.
Like giving the car an extra set of eyes.
Exactly. More data, better decisions, smoother, safer driving. Maybe Tesla's playing the long game here, setting themselves up for when cars can really drive themselves.
It's an interesting thought. So we've got third-party integration, potential hardware upgrades. What about those smaller improvements, the ones that just make owning a Tesla a little bit better every day?
Oh, those are important too, like that rear cross-traffic chime we mentioned.
Yep. Small, but it could prevent a fender bender.
Backing out of your driveway, didn't see that car? That chime could be a lifesaver.
And finally, Android users are getting hands-free trunk and frunk opening. Not a huge thing, but
nice. It shows they're paying attention to the details, making sure all Tesla owners feel taken care of.
okay, so we've covered a lot of ground with these software updates. Big changes, little tweaks. What's the takeaway for someone thinking about buying a Tesla?
I think the main thing is Tesla's all about continuous improvement. It's not just a car you buy, it's a platform that keeps getting better.
Like a free upgrade every few months.
Exactly. But you got to remember, with all this rapid innovation comes some unpredictability. Features can change, there might be bugs, things might not work perfectly right away.
So maybe not for the faint of heart.
Maybe not. But for people who like being on the cutting edge, who want a car that's constantly evolving, Tesla's way of doing software might be a perfect fit.
It's a different way of thinking about cars. It's not just about the hardware. It's about the software, the experience, the fact that it keeps changing. All right, I think we've covered just about everything there is to cover in this Tesla deep dive. Their challenges, their triumphs, the controversies, the innovations. It's been quite a ride.
It has.
But before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought. Given everything we've talked about, the financial roller coaster, the competition, the ever-changing technology, what do you think is the biggest threat to Tesla's long-term success?
That's a tough one. There's so much going on, who knows what the future holds. But if I had to pick one thing, I'd say it's their ability to grow in a way that's sustainable while maintaining quality and, not taking on too much risk.
So elaborate on that a bit.
Tesla's got huge goals, revolutionize the auto industry, green energy, even going to Mars. But to do all that, they need to execute perfectly, focus on quality, be ready to adapt when things go wrong.
So it's not just about having big dreams. It's about making those dreams a reality without cutting corners.
Exactly. And that's not easy. If they can pull it off, they could achieve amazing things. But if they stumble, it could be a big fall.
It just goes to show even the most innovative companies aren't invincible.
True that. It's a story that's still being written, and we'll all be watching to see what happens next.
Thanks for joining us on this Tesla deep dive. They never cease to amaze, and we're excited to see what they do next.